Welcome to another edition of All Octaves with me, Val Kleinhans. We love keeping it local on this music themed podcast. We're going to keep it local right now with a local musician named Amanda Fuller. Amanda is in like all the bands, pretty much all the bands in Rochester. Correct me if I'm wrong. What bands are you currently part of? I know you're doing some solo stuff too. Thank you so much for being here. What's going on lately with you?
Yeah. So I play in amateur. That's Chris Tazel is the frontman of that band, and his brother plays the drums. Alex Ortberg is in that band as well. I'm also in another band with Alex Ortberg called Winter State. And then I am in Cosmic Orphan, and that's fronted by Dan and Stacey Conway. I do some solo stuff, and then I play at a church every week. So I'm in 5 musical projects right now. Just 5.
Only 5. She's
Only
not
5.
busy. She's not busy at all. Well, I think your chosen instrument, from what I remember, because the last time that I saw you actually performing live was at this fun local park event that we call Foster Fest. And this might have
Yes.
been last summer or the summer before. It was you and Sterling.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
2019.
That was 2019. Okay, so it was you and Sterling, who's another musician in the area. You guys were performing an acoustic set together. You were singing and you were playing guitar. Are those your chosen instruments, or do you play anything else?
Guitar is like my second language. So I started playing piano when I was 5. And so in all the bands that I play in amateur, Cosmic Orphan, and Winter State, I play keys. Sometimes in Winter State, in our stage performances, we needed acoustic guitar. So I have one there too. So like sometimes I'll grab it and play it just for a verse or just for one song. And then I put it back and I go back to the keys. But when I do solo stuff, I play guitar. I'm just a lot more comfortable on the keys, and I can improvise better on the keys and jam better. I'd say I'm still kind of a novice to intermediate level at the guitar, but I'm really good at faking it. So people are like, wow, you're really good. And it's like, I'm just really good at faking it.
That's all you need. That's all you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've heard from tons of musicians that when they decide to really take an instrument seriously, a lot of them start on the piano just to learn how music works, so to speak, to learn the function of it, to learn how to play it. You just mentioned keys. Was that your path? Did you start with piano and then move on to other things?
Yeah, I started with piano lessons as a little kid, and then I quit them probably like middle school-ish. And then when I was 15, I got a guitar. And learning the guitar is really hard. The first year or so, you suck at it. There's nothing you can do but suck at it. And you have to get your fingers used to it. You have to build up your hand strength. And so the guitar I didn't like it because I was like, man, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. But then when I got to college, and I was a vocal performance major, but you have to be proficient in the piano. And so learning music theory really helped to build my piano skills, because I could kind of play a little bit because I'd taken years of lessons as a kid, but I didn't really get good at it until I took music theory in college, because that helped me to understand all of the math of it. And a lot of musicians hate equating it to math, but in my head, that's how it works. And that's probably why I understand it, is because it's all numbers to me. So once I got that down, I got pretty good at the keys. And then it allowed me to understand the guitar so much better, because I'm like, oh, it's all numbers. It's all numbers. I get it. I can do this.
Okay. So breaking it down just for somebody that, maybe doesn't play or has no clue, can you explain what music theory is for somebody that is just has no clue and they're totally clueless? I understand it as just like the fundamentals of how to create a song structure. Is that correct, or am I off, or how break it down for someone that has no clue?
Yeah, well, music theory is learning like all of the nuts and bolts of it, learning what a key is, learning what a meter is, like how if there's 4 beats in a measure or 2, but then it's also what key is it in? Is it in C? Is it in A? And then how those keys relate to each other, how notes relate to each other, like intervals, and then how chords are built, how chords relate to each other, what chords belong in which key, and when you use a chord from a different key, what is that called? And so there, music theory is so much. I took 5 semesters of it in college, and I loved it. And a lot of people hate it, but it just clicked in my brain, and I understood it, and I aced it, and I became a tutor, and I tutored other students at the school that were struggling with it. but yeah, it's kind of the nuts and bolts of how it all works and how it all fits together. There's a lot of analyzing. Like we would get a song set in front of us and we'd be like, you have to analyze this. And it's like, okay, that's not as fun.
Why?
Yeah,
Yeah.
precisely.
Why?
How
I
am I
would
going to
rather
use this
play
in the
Queen.
real world?
Algebra. No, thank you, ma'am. We have moved on. Okay.
Yes.
Well, no, but I've heard that, I recognize the importance of it. I've heard other musicians talk about it. So in a way, when you're getting those fundamentals and when you're getting the nuts and bolts of it, and you're translating that to different types of instruments, that's almost like reading two different languages.
That's kind of why I say like piano is my first language and guitar is my second language. Like that's because I see everything on a piano before I see it on a guitar.
Okay, got it. And for you to collaborate as often as you do in Rochester, you gotta love music. Where did the love start?
You know what? I grew up listening to like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, and I wanted to be like a pop star. So and then like as I got a little bit older into middle school and early high school, then it was Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and Jessica Simpson. And so I wanted to be like this power pop vocalist. And then in my high school choir, I kind of got put in my place a little bit by a choir director that was like, you just like to hear the sound of your own voice.
The audacity.
I know. And like every teenager is the center of their own world. So like, I probably really loved to hear the sound of my own voice. That's totally valid. But at the same time, it kind of crushed my little diva spirit. So then when it was time to go to college, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. The only thing I love is music. The only thing I want to do is music. But I'm obviously not very good at it because this guy just says, you just like to hear the sound of your own voice. But then I went to Bible college. Fun story there. We can cover that later. Got suspended, was on the doorstep of getting expelled. Anyway, that's another story. So I auditioned to be a music minor. And while I was in the audition process, it was just me and like the music program director, who is to this day one of the most influential people in my life. And he was just like, okay, sing something for me. And so his normal audition process is to make you sing Happy Birthday. And then he was like, pick a hymn and I can play it and you can sing it. And so I picked a hymn that had a crazy high note in it just for fun because I could do it.
We need to get our Whitney on. We need that high C.
And he was like, you're majoring in music, right? And I was like, I think I'm just gonna minor in it. Like it's a hobby. I like to do it, but I'm not that good. And he's like, you have talent. And I was like, yeah, like I'm not terrible, but like, I don't really know. And he was like, I want you to be a major in the music program. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And that really helped to develop my love of it, was just like the encouragement of somebody. And then he really took me under his wing. I took 5 semesters of music theory from him. I did voice lessons, piano lessons. I took in as much music as possible. I joined a band. That was the first band I joined. We were low-key awful. But that's how you're supposed to start. And even Dave Grohl will say this. Dave Grohl's like, my favorite quote from him is something along the lines of like, you're supposed to be in a band in like your friend's mom's garage and you're supposed to suck. That's how it's supposed to start. And so I was in a band that we were kind of crappy, but it was fun. I had so much fun. And then I don't know, something just took hold. Like it's all I wanted to do. And so I eventually was able to go full-time in music because I got a job at a church as a worship leader. And then and then I started playing in bands and playing solo stuff. And it was just all music all the time until the pandemic hit.
That's a whole other conversation, but that sounds like a dream before the pandemic hit.
Yes, it really was.
That's awesome. So let's rewind to the Bible school and the suspension. Did that have to do with music?
No. And this is totally cool to be on the podcast because I am not ashamed of it at all. And it needs to be talked about more. I got pregnant and I got suspended.
What?
Yeah.
Just because you were pregnant?
Well, we violated the school rule to get pregnant.
Really? Well, okay. Bible school. Okay. I'm like, on what planet? Like, I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I have to remember myself. Bible school.
Very strict Bible school. boys weren't allowed in girls' rooms and girls weren't allowed in boys' rooms. And we clearly broke that rule and got pregnant. And so we had to go in front of the disciplinary committee and we had to make a public confession in front of the student body.
Oh my, is this Salem 1692? Like, for crying out
Yeah,
loud.
they were ready to burn us at the stake. It was that's part of why I have such a tumultuous relationship with like religion as a whole, because like my faith is something really important to me, but like
Yeah.
when you as a religion like put somebody as the center of attention to shame them and you make
Yeah.
shame like the driver, that's not like I've read a lot of Brene Brown and I've listened to her
Mm,
podcast. I love her and she talks a lot
yes.
about shame. There is nobody benefits from shame. Nobody grows from shame. And
No.
that was like a really shame centered culture. So I got
Mm.
pregnant at 20. I was my sophomore year of college. And then we had to get married. That was we were actually already engaged because that's how Bible college works. You like somebody and then you get engaged. And so then we got married. Then I had my daughter right away after I had my son. They're less than 2 years
Mm.
apart. And then it was like, I can't do school anymore because I'm exhausted. And
Yeah, that's a
so
lot.
I didn't finish school there. I eventually went back later and got a business degree. Um, but I was like on the doorstep of expulsion and after getting pregnant, I then wanted a divorce. And then they were
Oh,
like, that is also against our covenant. And I'm like, listen. So I
y'all forced me into this and you're gonna keep me here?
yep,
Like,
it
for
was so
real?
bad. It was so bad.
Uh, that I can't even imagine. Like, oh my God. Well, so what business is it of theirs? Like, I mean, other than the obvious, it's at if 4, 5, 6 months in, how do they even know that you're
Yeah.
pregnant? Does somebody squeal on you? Does somebody
We actually, since we knew it was a huge violation, we went to one of our teachers.
Oh,
And I think he was the psychology teacher, but he was also the one that was doing our like premarital counseling. And so we
oh,
went to him and we were like, we have to confess to you that we are pregnant. And he
okay.
was like, I have to take this to the disciplinary committee. And I was like, yep, that's fine. And so the disciplinary committee had a meeting about us. And then they came back to us and said, we appreciate that you guys were forthright and you came to us. So
Mhm.
instead of expulsion, we're just going to suspend you so we had a 2-week suspension. So it wasn't even, it, but it was a statement. It was, and everybody knew that, we could live on campus. So we were literally living on campus, not able to attend class because we were suspended. It was so silly. It
What?
didn't,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yep.
So so you and the father of your children, you both
Mm-hmm.
decided that you had to say something. Was that a mutual agreement?
I don't remember. Probably.
Mm, okay.
That's a portion of my life that I've worked really hard to blot out. So I don't remember.
Understandably. Okay. So
Yeah.
music, I'm sure, was something that undoubtedly helped you through all that and
Hmm.
maybe helped you, not just get through it at the time, but helped you power through even more so after all that was over with, after you leave the Bible college. Um, I, I know you're somebody that's in a bunch of different bands. Do you just love collaborating? Do you love music that much that you just want to be part of everything? Or are people inviting you to be part of this and you're just like, yeah, sure? Does it mean a lot to you? Does it mean a lot to you to collaborate? I guess is what I'm really asking.
Yeah. What's really cool is that like all of the bands that I participated in, like they all came to me and said, would you be interested in doing this? And
Mm.
every time I'm like, are you sure? The first time it was really humbling. I think I started playing with Winter State. Um, well, the current bands, Winter State was the first one, but even before that, I played in a band with Sterling. It was Sterling and the Silver Lining. That was like the first
Mhm.
local band that I joined since college. And I responded to like hey, we're looking for a keys player for a different band. And then he messaged me and was like,
Mm.
hey, I'm also looking for a keys player. Do you want to come to one of my band practices? And I was like, sure. And so that really helped to build my skills and my confidence. Um, and there's a lot of collaborative songwriting that happened there, and I grew a lot. And then I wrote and recorded my first EP. Um, right as that was dissolving. And so my first solo EP came out in December of 2019. And then was already playing with Winter State too, though, because I think summer of 2019 is when they asked me to play. They had already recorded their first album, and then they were looking for musicians to play them live. And they asked me if I could do keys and backing vocals, and I was just like, yeah. And they sent me the music, and I was like, I would listen to this for fun. Of course, I want to play it. And that's the best part. And then with Amateur, I was their like biggest fan. I would show up to all of their gigs. I knew all of their songs, and then eventually they were like, "Do you want to just sing with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I do.
You're here anyway. Get up here."
Yep, you know all the words anyway. You harmonize from the audience anyway. Do you want to just come up here? And then when the keys player, one of the Tazal brothers, moved away, then they were like, "Want to play keys?" I was like, "Sure." And then the most recent one I joined was Cosmic Orphan, and Dan and Stacey Conway reached out to me. They were just looking for a keys player, and my name had come up in the conversation. And I was like, you know what? I'm really, really busy. I am working at Mayo. And already working with 2 bands, doing solo stuff, playing at a church most weekends. I don't know if I have time to add one more band in. But I went to one practice and I was like, these are my people.
Oh, yeah. No, they are awesome. They are.
And like they're each band that I play with that have the most wonderful people in it. And I don't think I could do it if I didn't love these people so intensely. And with Winter State, we did like a short tour in the Northwest, which is a very long car drive from Minnesota. And so I had
you drove it? You didn't even fly? Oh my god.
No, we drove.
Oh.
We rented a U-Haul and hitched it to my minivan and drove to Seattle. It was super fun. My son actually got to come along. My oldest played bass for that tour because our bass player was not able to come.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was really awesome. Noah is 17. He turns 18 here really soon. So that was his first like non-church stage performance. It was really cool. But we got in the car and we were driving, and the people in the car are me, my son, and then Alex Ortberg and Brody Heinzel, who plays guitar for Winter State and Amateur. And I realized about 5 or 6 hours in, like, I don't think I could do this with people that I didn't love this intensely.
Oh,
I think I would just get annoyed and be like, oh my God, shut up, and want to disappear into my own little world. Except these are people that like I love to spend time with and I love to create with. And it just made it like a really fun experience.
Yeah, that's the beauty behind getting to know people, getting to be a part of the scene, getting to collaborate. You find other people with similar interests, and then it's bada bing, bada boom. It didn't take me long to find that here in Rochester either. I think it took me like maybe 6 months before I felt like I knew most of the music scene. And if not all, like most of, I was like, okay, I think this person's connected to this person's in that band, this person's in that band. So
and we're all in each other's bands.
All in each other's bands, all up in the bands. Did Noah catch the bug? Does he want to keep playing? Does he want to keep touring? Did he enjoy it that much?
Oh my gosh. There is at one point a gaggle of girls chanting his name, and I was like, this is so strange. Yeah.
Because you're his mom going like, hey, watch.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of gross, girls. Do you know what he smells like? Do you know what he smells like? Anyway, I love.
Do you know when the last time he showered was? Because I do.
Precisely. He started drumming first. Drums were his first instrument. His dad was a drummer in a band. That's how we met. And like Noah from a young age could just keep rhythm, which is very rare. And so but he also just learns by absorbing. So he can play guitar, bass, drums, piano. He plays clarinet in the band at school. He plays bass in the jazz band at school. It's bananas. Everything he touches, he can play it. And I'm like, I have worked so hard to get mediocre at the guitar. Like, I have worked so hard. And he just picks it up and is like, yeah, I can play that. And I'm like, man. So his goal is he graduates. This is his senior year of school. He's going to hopefully take some music classes in college. He doesn't really know what he wants to do yet. And I was like, hey, I was also in that boat. Take classes that you like, start there, get some generals in, and then like see where you want to go. But he wants to be more involved in the music scene around here. And it's such a great place to grow. There's so many open
Yes.
mics and like collaborative efforts. There's a songwriters circle. There's jazz jams. There's just so much that you can be a part of. And it just a really great community that can help him grow as a musician. And I can't wait to see it because he's so gifted. And
Yeah.
playing with him, sharing the stage with him has been like one of the most fulfilling things musically that I've ever done. It's so cool.
Are you watching him the whole time just in awe? You're like looking to the side of the stage and you're like, oh,
Yeah, totally, totally. And like, so we recorded a music video for Winter State when we were on tour, which is going to come out soon. Our new EP is coming out soon, and then the music video will come around the same time. And
cool.
like, there's some really cool shots of him looking like such a rock star in the video, and I'm like, wow, that is
You're
so
like, oh,
cool.
okay, girls, you are not allowed to view this. Stop.
Not allowed. Yeah,
Not allowed.
he's super cute. He's super cute. It's so annoying.
So he can't help it.
No, no, he looks just like me.
Oh, well, that explains it. 1,000%.
Yes.
Well, so back to, being, you talk about finding your own people and finding people that you enjoy touring with, finding people that you enjoy being in bands with. How do you know that you have found your people? What are those initial moments where you're like, okay, this could work? What's that like?
The biggest indicator for me is people um that their music is like a joyful thing, and not like the subject matter of their music is joy, but that it makes them excited. Because when I hear something that I like, I get excited, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like that same spark in people. Like my first Cosmic Orphan practice, I really got to meet like Dan and Stacey Conway. I was like, oh, these people have the same joy that I have when I
Mhm.
play music, and that kind of thing is infectious, and I love it so much.
Yeah. I would love to see more of it. I know more is on the way from not just Cosmic Orphan and Winter State and Amateur. I follow all you guys. So
Oh,
I'm
yay.
excited for so much of it. Really, truly. And Dan and Stacey were here not too long ago on this show. And
Oh, yay.
I got to meet them, and they're a blast. And you can definitely see the passion behind all of it. All of you that I speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's heartwarming. I'm like, okay, these people really do appreciate what it is they're doing. This is fun for them. They get joy from it and they want to keep going. So what is next for you? What can we look forward to?
Yeah. So, well, Winter State has a new EP that's going to be coming out probably early 2023. I am in the studio right now at Blue Lagoon Recording Room with Alex Ortberg working on my second EP. It has been a long labor of love. My first EP was kind of like written in the ruins of a relationship, and
Mhm.
and so that's a lot of like there's a lot of pain in that EP that's disguised with like happy sounding things, but then when you actually listen you're like, oh, that's deep.
I love
Ouch.
that.
But my new EP explores different emotions besides just absolute and utter despair, which I think we all need right now.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited with how that is. Like, I'm gonna put more time into it soon. It's been literally 2 years of like just a little bit here and there. But Alex and I have a plan to more intensely work on it so that we can get a completed product here that can come out sometime, maybe mid to late 2023. Big Turn Music Fest is happening in February. I'm playing with
Right.
multiple bands there. That's going to be fun. So yeah, lots of cool things to look forward to.
Cool. And for anybody that has no clue about what's going on, how to get the scoop on what's going on locally, where are some of the best places to get their information? Because I hear this all the time. I never know what's going on, or I never know who's doing what, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why, if you just turn on Facebook for 5 seconds, it's there. So Facebook is one place. Are there any other places we should know about to check this information?
um, yeah, I mean, right now Facebook is like the primary place that things are promoted. That's just because where so many people are.
Yeah.
Rochester Local is it used to be like Rochester Mom, but it's now Rochester Local because they don't just cover like family friendly things. They
Mm.
cover a lot of the stuff that goes on in Rochester. And not just music stuff. A lot of it is like, hey, this is when this festival is happening, and this is when this free event is happening, and they're pretty good at having a lot of local stuff in there. But I
Cool.
don't know how good they are at doing like local music events. The Rochester Posse is on, I think they're on multiple socials, and they promote a
Yeah,
lot of local music stuff. They're
definitely.
definitely a good one to follow. I know they're on Insta as well. And My Town, My Music
Hmm.
is probably has like the most exhaustive list of
Yeah.
stuff going around in town. And it's so like I appreciate the work that they put into it because that's a really great way that they get the word out. So Rochester Posse, My Town, My Music. I know everybody hates Facebook, so those I think are both on Instagram.
So we can go there too. Everybody can calm down. It's there. It's
Yes, it is. I promise.
and I like to ask everybody I chat with on this podcast this general question. Who are you listening to lately? Today it was the Cramps for me. So how about you?
I love this group from Canada called Dizzy. Have you
Oh,
heard of
okay.
them?
No, I have not. Give me more.
Their song The Magician
Mhm.
has been in my brain for the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 months. I listen to it constantly. They have two albums and they're both fantastic. It's kind of like a chill pop sound. I don't there's I'm sure there's a better name for that entire genre, but it's just dreamy sounding. Her vocals are incredible in a really soft and I don't even know how to explain it. Uh, it's just her vocals are just amazing. It just feels like a nice fuzzy blanket. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. It makes sense. It's kind of like Pantera for me whenever I get really angry. And I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, okay, like we're gonna be fine. But
If you
I love
listen to
that so
one
much.
song by Dizzy, listen to The Magician. It's super catchy and it's so beautifully done. It's incredible.
Yeah, noted. Thank you so much for all the information. Thank you for the fun stories, for the fun chat. Amanda Fuller, awesome. Love chatting with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.